And we are live. What up, players? Welcome to episode 130 of Player Life. We got Riley in the house says, Yo, Mac, what's up? To answer the question, they mess with the flow. I got to go run to the east. Indeed. Um, Capital E says, At work, got to watch in parts. All good, man. All good. Um, the East West connection says, Short answer, yes. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So the short answer is yes. Episode is finished. We're done. No, but seriously, I have I have been in Japan for since April 2015. Uh, I came over. I thought I was just gonna come over for a year, just to teach. Well, not to teach, but so that um as a means to live here, to get a visa and whatnot. Because I just wanted to live in a foreign country, just go somewhere that had was different to Ireland. And I came over, and it was just after a year flew by, and I was like, nah, I'm not going home after a year. And I basically, anytime I had some time off, I would, travel to another country. So I didn't actually go back to Ireland for almost 4 years, not even to visit. But I went back in, Christmas of 2018. So it was almost 4 years. It was like 3 years and 8 months or something since I hadn't even visited, and so much had changed since I went. Since I had left. It was crazy. It was crazy. Just even in the society, so much had changed even in that short time. All the progressive nonsense had sped up. They had, in 3 years, I think they brought in all these new policies, like, they introduced gay marriage. That was a big thing. What else? They legalized abortion. All all in a rapid pace, small period of time. And whatever your opinions about all that stuff, I'm no conservative at all. I'm not a conservative. I wouldn't call myself conservative, but I'm definitely not on the left. That's for sure. But no, it's just, it's whatever you think about those issues, but it's all the shit that comes with that, all the progressive nonsense. When I went back to Dublin, I really didn't recognize Dublin. I almost didn't recognize it. Like, came back, and I was staying with my brother, and like I was getting, just getting the bus into the city. And I think I was like the only, I'm not even kidding. I think I was the only Irish person on the bus. And I'm not actually, I'm not against, completely against immigration. There should be every country should have some, level of immigration, like, some exchange, a limit. There should be a limit on it, not just but, what happened in Ireland, or what probably continues to happen, it's what's called mass immigration. It's like mass immigration. It's like just completely, unlimited. It was crazy. I was literally, you could say, oh, that's just one bus. No, I'm like, seriously, you go to Dublin, you're not going to see many Irish people. That's a fact. I don't know. Maybe there's less Irish people in Dublin City than there are actually foreigners now. I don't know. But you could say, oh, that's only Dublin. That's just the capital city. No, actually. Then I went back to my hometown, which is a really small, like a small little city. And, I think the city, it's not a city. It's a fucking town, and let me see. Yeah, so it's a small little town, and yeah, same thing. I mean, not as bad as Dublin, but like insane. I almost didn't recognize the place. Uh, so many foreigners. I mean, you know, just less familiar faces. It was crazy. There's almost I heard there's like an kind of like what's called an asylum industry where people make money off accepting, you know, what are called asylum seekers, but they're really a lot of them. Some of them might actually be, fleeing conflict or what, but the vast majority of them are just economic migrants. They're not fleeing persecution or anything, but they'll claim asylum. They can just say whatever, and that's a big industry in Ireland too. People make money off them coming. Uh, it's but yeah, just a lot of unfamiliar faces. Danny Ireland in the house says, "Great Jupiter, that thumbnail made me nauseous, bro. Made me nauseous too, bro. But it's got to be done. Got to be done. Sorry to do it, but someone has to put it out there." Colin says, "I'd argue that gun policy is the precursor to all that. Marxist movements tend to start with disarming men." Yeah. Indeed. You could say, even in Ireland, there is, we had the conflict between the IRA, against, Britain, and something happened in 1998 when the Clintons got involved, and the Clintons came over and basically, I think basically they paid the IRA were paid off, because now the IRA went from, I'm going a bit off topic here, but they went from being a nationalist Republican organization that wanted to unite Ireland to being like this crazy Marxist, open borders organization that just wants just like that supports all the most progressive policies, just crazy stuff. Buzzin' Bazin said, "You should come to Swedistan. Our third biggest city went from 95% Swedish to 40% in 30 years or something. Kind of insane. It's really insane." I heard MLD say on his stream a while ago. He was like, he said, "Oh, if you want to go to a country that has a lot of white people," I don't know why he brought that up, but he said, "Go to Sweden." And I said in the comments, "No, MLD, Sweden's not like that anymore. Things have changed. Mass immigration. That's what's happening." Like I said, I'm not against immigration to an extent. I'm in Japan, for fuck's sake, but mass immigration is not right. It's really not. It's who should agree with mass immigration? It's destroying the culture and heritage of the country. I mean, why would you want that? It actually, people talk about the diversity, like, mass immigration destroys diversity because it makes everywhere the same. It's really sad in a way. Not good, but yeah, it's just, there's so much lies, there's so much bullshit, there's so much obnoxious shit that goes on. I mean, in the Irish media, where they'll talk about, they'll put out all this crazy propaganda where they'll say, they'll cover, they have these ceremonies in Ireland where people can actually become citizens, like actual, like, so in Japan, I can never become a citizen. Like never. I can get permanent residency, but I can never become a citizen. But in Ireland, they have these, these big ceremonies where thousands of people every year, thousands and thousands of people become Irish citizens, and they might have only been in the country for a few years. And the media would drool over it and like really, put out all these stories saying, these people are just as Irish as the Irish, like all this hyperbolic like nonsense. It's really insulting to Irish people and Irish culture. I mean, I've been in Japan 6 years, and the idea of me saying that I'm somehow in any way Japanese is absurd and ignorant. Like, it'd be just ignorant for me to like even say that. I would never. Like, if I remain in Japan until the day I die, I'll always be Irish, and that's out of respect for Japan. That's not out of me. That's not out of me, not having respect for Japan. That's me being, I'm Irish. I'm not. How could I be Japanese? Like, how is that possible? It's not. But all this crazy propaganda that gets put out, nonsense, really. Yeah. I just hate the lies. I hate the bullshit. Eri Jorgo in house says, "What's up? I didn't expect your stream at this time. It's usually in the morning here in the US that you stream." Indeed. My times have changed. I will now be streaming from on Monday 9 p.m. Central Time, on Wednesday 6 a.m. Central Time, the usual time. Wednesday is going to be the usual time, and Thursday 9 p.m. Central Time. So this is Thursday 9 p.m. Central Time. So yeah, just a heads up. Buzzin' Bazin says, we still have a good areas, obviously, and hot chicks, but like, I'm sure 3 or 4 out of 10 people I see are foreign origin nowadays. And yeah, agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I definitely would, Ireland should have, it's a very small country. Certain amounts of immigration are good, but yeah, for such a small country to have such large levels of immigration is completely unsustainable. I don't know what's going to happen in Ireland in the future. It's not. It's all, yeah. It's vastly changed. Yeah, it's kind of sad that it's like, how can it's just a lie. It's just a bullshit. But let me see. Let me share something. What do I want to share? Yeah, I just got the idea of for today's show, or tonight's show, this morning's show, wherever you are, because like, what really is the benefit? What's the point in staying in a Western country? What is actually, do you think it's actually going to get better? I don't think Western, I don't think it's bottomed out. You could say, oh, it's as bad as it's going to get. No, I actually don't think so. I think it's a long way to go, because all these cycles of culture and indoctrination play out a lot longer. They don't, like all the indoctrination of all the millennials and generation, what is it, Z or X or whatever, that's going to take like generations to weed out. And who says it's going to even get weeded out? It might even just get worse and worse. But at least it's going to last a long time, like at least decades. This like kind of progressive direction is probably going to last decades. Who knows? I don't know. That's my opinion anyway. Because I don't know what's going to happen. Let me see. What was I going to share? Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's also like, you have to say that, all the propaganda about, all womanism and, men are bad and all this stuff. It's like, it's clear to me that it's like a depopulation strategy. It really is. Where is it? Let me share this. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just there's all constant stuff like sexual consent education is too important to become a schoolyard joke. Uh, just all this crazy stuff about needing just like we're gonna need what it's just destroyed the fun out of hooking up with chicks. Uh, all this consent bullshit. And we all know that obviously consent is obviously necessary, but they focus so much on it. Some of the Australian government's new educational resources are not just ridiculous, but also confusing and concerning. Let's just watch this.
Do you want to try my milkshake? Well, drink it. Drink it all.
A series of new videos designed to teach school children about consent have been labelled bizarre and potentially harmful.
I don't even know where to start with this one. Can you explain it?
No, 6 minutes of WTF.
I know you really like my milkshake.
This is so weird to me. Oh, this video is so problematic in so many ways.
They use metaphors to discuss consent and avoid mentioning the word sex, rape, or assault.
Do you want to go in the water?
I don't know. Do I?
Resources coming out of the Commonwealth are cringeworthy. They completely miss the mark, and I won't be recommending that our schools use them.
We will not be recommending the use of those materials. I think they're pretty woeful.
It was dealt with too flippantly.
It's hard to imagine a group of teenagers taking it seriously.
It's insulting to victims and a student's intelligence.
You don't go anywhere.
In extreme cases, you may feel unsafe to stay or to leave.
The weirdest thing is they've made the female the abuser, and we know statistically that is highly unlikely.
They didn't get the milkshake thing wrong. They tried.
Hear what she said there.
The milkshake thing wrong.
Statistically, that is the abuser, and we know statistically that is highly unlikely.
They didn't get the.
So, like, what happened to the whole idea that we're all completely equal, we're all the same? There's no difference between men and women, yet men are men are the ones that are the abusers. It's like these people, they just contradict themselves. Their whole ideology is it contradicts itself at every corner.
The milkshake thing wrong. They tried to deal with sexual consent via tacos.
This taco has no opinion about whether or not you eat it. It was not secretly hoping to go to university. Or was it?
This is millions of taxpayer dollars.
A controversial milkshake video produced to help educate young Australians about sexual consent has been dumped.
Calling on the federal government to admit that they got it wrong.
This afternoon, the Department of Education removed 2 of the videos.
A $3.7 million federally funded program.
A price that's pretty unpalatable to many taxpayers.
Why am I here?
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Just complete garbage. I mean, what is that about? Danny Arnold says the YouTube apparently yeeted my comment. I use that word that starts with a J, that mean holy war. They must have deemed it unacceptable hate speech or something. Yeah, I mean, we're not. These platforms they're full of a lot of. There's a lot of red tape these days. A lot of red tape. Too much of it, really. It's a real shame. It'd be a lot better with open and free internet. Viking Paradigm says the brainwashing causes cognitive dissonance. Indeed. Yeah. So yeah, it goes on to say, let me see. Anything on the Guardian is going to be, progressive nonsense. But drinking milkshakes, eating tacos, and getting into shark-infested water, you could be forgiven for not understanding that any of these things have to do with sexual consent. Yes, it's these topics dished up as bizarre, evasive metaphors for sex that feature in the Morrison government's new Good Society consent resources for school students. The newly launched website is part of the Department of Education's Respect Matters program and contains more than 350 videos, digital stories, podcasts, and teaching materials. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems to be, it's Western countries are pretty much all the same. They're bad to varying degrees. This whole beer bug thing really exposed all of that big time. Australia, New Zealand, and England, and just nonsense policies. Apparently the New Zealand Prime Minister was, is probably still is locking people up if they refuse to quarantine or take the vaccine, and it's crazy. The material that has drawn the most attention is a video, now removed, called Moving the Line, which featured a strange scene in which a teenage girl smears milkshake on her male companion's face, telling him to drink it all. Meanwhile, an older male voiceover tells the viewer, "This is what we call moving the line." Another video features a couple sitting on the beach. The young man trying to convince his partner that she should go in the water, while she points out she's concerned about sharks. It's hard to see how any classroom of teenagers was going to find these videos useful in a discussion on consent and sex. While there is some good content with 350 modules launched, many of the key resources are not only ridiculous, but also confusing, concerning, and sometimes even just plain wrong. It's all this talk about Harry Zikos in the house. What's up, man? Hope you're well. Buzzin' Baden says, I didn't understand a single thing of what just happened in that video. It was just a load of nonsense about trying to use clever metaphors to talk about consent. In a very condescending manner. Danny Arnold says, I love the English, but they're more libtarded than our American lefties are. I don't know about that. American lefties are pretty out there, gotta say. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna find them in pretty much any English speaking country, and even it's pretty much it mostly affects the English speaking countries. I mean, even though in Europe, countries like France, Sweden, Germany, so it's not necessarily only English speaking countries. Any westernized country, you're going to find a lot of nonsense, a lot of it. Buzzin' Bazin said, no one is wearing a mask here in Sweden, so at least we got that going for us. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Sweden was so based in that regard. Very strange. Strange, but good, I guess. I mean, this whole year, this whole beer bug has just blown my mind. I just can't really comprehend it. It's just nuts. Like I've never worn a mask in Japan, one of the most crowded cities in the world. Just crazy stuff. There's people still, I still see people wearing goggles and latex gloves here in Tokyo, and it's like, thank God it's still like things are open, and but no one bothers me. No one has ever said anything to me, so it's all good. I can't complain. I honestly couldn't handle living. I don't think I could handle living in Ireland. Like if I had some like some land whale, some obnoxious idiot telling me what to do, telling me to put a mask on, I'd flip out. I really would. Know Your Worth in the house says, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, gents. What's up? Hope you're well, brother. Hope you are well. Colin says, if you accept the government as your doctor and your educator, you're probably doomed. Indeed. This whole thing has shown us that the West is suffering from a pandemic of cowardice. That's the only pandemic that's going on. But yeah, back to the topic. The site includes lines such as sexual desire can really distort our thinking. It contains material that creates a disturbing lack of clarity around the absence of consent, emphasizing a gray zone with statements like if a yes is not an enthusiastic, then maybe even a no. And to leave the maybe zone, you either need to both agree yes or someone needs to finally decide no. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like this is sign this form. Sign this consent form. That's really gonna turn a girl on. Oh, can you sign this form? Can we just both agree that we're going to initiate love making now? Because I'm worried. I don't want to violate any boundaries. And she'd be like, "What the fuck? Who the fuck is this dork?" She's gonna her pussy dry up like the Sahara Desert. Like she'll be like, "Oh, this guy has weak sperm. I'm out." She'd be like, "Okay, all right, dweeb, I'm out of here." Oh, seriously, it's just like, like you get consent by implied consent. Like you understand exactly when a girl wants to bang, wants to smash by body language. Unless you like, no disrespect to anyone that has autism, but like literally, unless you're autistic, unless you have seriously, unless you don't understand, you can't read situations, and you don't understand, only in those circumstances might you need to confirm consent. But like if you're making out with a girl and she's moaning and she's enjoying, she's getting off, and she's letting you, you're taking your clothes off and you're taking her clothes off, and that's implied consent. Young people are capable of nuanced conversations around the issue. They've been calling for clear and accurate information. What young people go around calling for clear and accurate? Like, really? Like, what? Like, when launched, the site also provided incorrect, inadequate information about reporting sexual abuse, instructing students they can report any sexual violation to the Australian Human Rights Commission. That has since been corrected. On another page, it directs young people to contact the police if they've been stalked, but doesn't provide the same direction for any other criminal acts described, including sexual assault. How can we expect any educator to engage students in a serious conversation about respectful relationships and to change attitudes and behavior when their resources are heavy with innuendo about tacos and milkshakes? Can you imagine the follow-up questions they'll be facing from a room of 16-year-olds after showing this content in class? Young people are capable of nuanced conversations around these issues. They've been calling for clear and accurate information. Instead, the federal government has delivered some materials that are in places laughable. Incoherent content like that contained in many of the videos the government has just released can create more confusion than clarity. And that makes the important but awkward conversations many parents and educators are trying to have about what's actually involved in respectful relationships and sexual consent even more difficult. Well, I will agree that, those videos were nonsense, but, they were quite incoherent. But so are many of the talking points these lefty progressive make. The government claims to have worked with experts on these resources, but the nation's key prevention organization, Our Watch, have distanced themselves from the materials, noting the confidential nature of the process. Noting the confidential nature of the process through which they were asked to provide advice, that they haven't endorsed the materials, and that they focus on prevention education that address the gendered drivers of violence and uses a whole school approach. These bizarre and confusing resources cannot be allowed to stand. It's just basically Yeah, I'm not going to finish reading that. It's kind of garbage, but it's kind of funny. Since I was talking about you know, uh, the media, the Western media will talk about this shit. This or grape culture that actually doesn't exist. It actually doesn't exist. It's illegal. It's outright, like, completely illegal to do such things. It hasn't existed. I don't know if it ever existed, but maybe in the past, but certainly now it's like it's completely frowned upon. I mean, guys don't, when guys get in groups together, they don't joke about they don't talk about, oh yeah, did this, it's completely frowned upon. I mean, not only frowned upon, but I mean, it's like much more than frowned upon. I mean, it's illegal. It's like, uh, guys definitely wouldn't stand for it, like in genuine cases. But it's funny how Western media will completely ignore, like, huge, like, scandals, such as, like, even in England. So they'll talk about these, like, college grape culture and all this stuff that pretty much is non-existent. However, they'll ignore and they'll refuse to cover, like, genuinely huge scandals where, for example, in England there was literally, like, gangs, like big, like, networks, like, of you know to be honest, it was mostly Pakistani foreign men that were actually pimping out British children. And like, this was like an organized, pedophilic network, and they refused to. They just ignored it. Even the police ignored it, and to this, they eventually they had to cover it to some extent, but they covered it up as soon as possible. Like, they covered it up, and it's because it goes against the globalization narrative. And that's not saying, oh, but I'm sure, oh, white men must do it too. White men did that one time, or of course, I'm not saying, of course, there's obviously white men that have done such things, but it's just this whole disgusting hypocrisy. There's no they're just not objective when it comes to facts, and yeah, they don't report the news equally. They really don't, and it's really sickening. I can't even comprehend. I can't even comprehend that, how the media ignored that for so long. And literally, groups of, like, huge networks. Like, apparently, I don't know. There's, like, actual networks of pedophilic networks of men pimping out children. It's insane. And it happened, and it happened not it was happening for a long time. Apparently there were hundreds of men. They had to get, eventually it became such a problem that the media had to cover it. But that's just an example. It's kind of, same thing. I mean, even when there was when there was the Syrian conflict, and then hundreds of thousands of immigrants came to Europe, some Syrians, but mainly, a lot of economic migrants jumped on board, came to Europe, countries like Germany, Sweden, Ireland, even, all across Europe. They came, and we were told that they were entirely. I've been in Japan this whole time, so I'm just looking from the outside and talking to friends, but we were told that they were all escaping the Syrian conflict, and we have to help these people. And yeah, we should help these people, but the reality is most of them were not Syrian. They were just, a lot of them were even, African or whatever. And it is, there was a lot of, a lot of cultural differences. I mean, there was a situation in Cologne, that was kind of reported because it was so out of control. There was, there was apparently a lot of, women. In New Year's celebrations, there was a lot of women sexually assaulted, even raped, robbed, murdered. Not, I don't think murdered, but maybe murdered, but I don't know. I don't remember hearing any murders. I don't want to exaggerate it. No, but a lot of sexual assault. But the media kind of maybe touched on it, and and then quickly brushed it under the table again. Brushed it under the carpet. Know your words says Germany. Yeah, probably it was Germany. It's a while ago, but they really didn't. It just shows the cultural differences, because a lot of these people come from cultures where it's like women have their place, in the home, and they're not free, whereas in the West, women can be very in your face, as in terms of from them coming from a very conservative, women are in the home. They can't dress provocatively. To come to a country where women can wear whatever they want, go out wherever they want, all this boss bitch shit going on. So these Okay, I think I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but yeah, night stream. Yeah, as I said, Monday from now on, Monday at 9 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday 6 a.m. Central Time, and Thursday 9 p.m. Central Time. Yes, so these women, Western women, they've on one hand, let's be honest, the vast majority of them will, support, all these progressive open border policies, and then when it comes around to bite them on the ass, as in, they're getting, sexually assaulted on the streets by foreign men, they have nothing to say about it, So it's like the whole, the whole, Christianity. Anyone can insult Christianity. It's the least rebellious thing to do, to insult Christianity. Why? Because there's no consequences. There's no consequence for doing so. It's literally, there's nothing badass about it, because it's so you can't get in trouble for it. However, are these people going to all these progressives, all these lefties, all these they're always going after Christianity. Oh, fuck this, that, and the other, thinking they're badass. But will these people ever insult Islam? Not a hope. Not a hope, because they're cowards. They're pussies. They're absolute. And Islam is way more conservative. Way, way, way more conservative. And they won't tolerate it. And what's happened in Western countries is we've just been way too tolerant, insanely tolerant, and it's gone too far. It's gone too far. Let me share this, since I'm on the topic of tolerance. Let me share it. Okay. Yeah. So where are we at? Tweets and replies. Yeah. So here it is. Okay. So Yeah. We've got your ethical feminist tees covered. And her t-shirt says, seize the day with the unearned confidence of a mediocre white man. That's a racist t-shirt. I'm like, that is just straight up just a racist t-shirt. Like, if you turn the tables and, you know, seize the day with the unearned confidence of a mediocre black man, like, what? There's going to be outrage. There's going to be, like, you know, you'd lose your job. I mean, you'd be ostracized from society. No, but like, this isn't even surprising. This whole culture, this whole MTV, this whole pop culture, this whole like BLM shit, this is all like acceptable. Like, we're way too tolerant. Like, way Western society has, you know, and the blame really lies. The blame actually lies with men, I think, because men are the ones that have allowed this to happen. You know, they've allowed and tolerated this shit for too long. Like, they've enabled these people. You know, and white women as well. You know, you'd see white women, you know, supporting this shit, being traitors to their fathers, you know, brothers and ancestors, everyone. You know, by, you know, white women would also wear t-shirts like this, and it's like, and white men statistically are the ones committing suicide the most out of anyone. So where's, you know, what are they suffering from, you know, having unearned confidence when they're throwing themselves off buildings, or, you know, shooting themselves in the head? You know, I hate to get so dark on it, but seriously, it's way too tolerant of it. Like, if I saw this bitch out, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Take that piece of shit off, you dumb shit. Like, we should start doing that. Like, I don't know why we allow them to, like, think they can get away with it. Like, because, you know, if like I said, if I was wearing a t-shirt, which I never would, I don't know why I would ever do that. I never would wear a t-shirt saying the opposite. But if I wore a t-shirt that said seize the day with the unearned confidence of a mediocre black man, like, first of all, I'd never wear a t-shirt like that. But if I did, I would get, you know, accosted. People would like throw insults at me, and yeah, and they rightly should, like, because it's a racist t-shirt. Like, why would you tolerate that? Like, what are you doing? What are you trying to say? Like, what do you, like? This is the definition of racism. Like, you know, judging someone on the color of their skin. Like, fuck these bastards. Fuck these dumb idiots. Like stop letting them. We need to, like, stop letting them be so hypocritical. Hypocrisy is one of the most disgusting things. I hate hypocrisy. Like, you go through life and you try and not be hypocritical. And if you ever are hypocritical, you know, you admit it, and then you can be forgiven for it. But you know, some people, I just really, I'm not a fan of people who like hypocrisy. I don't know anyone who is, but it's one of the things that pisses me off the most, hypocrisy. I try and not be hypocritical. I talk, you know, I'm talking a lot on, you know, sometimes I might, you know, some of my points might cross over. I might, you know, say some things that sound hypocritical, but I try not to be. At least I try not to be. Yeah, but yeah, this whole ideology is just spreading right throughout the Western society, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Matt W says, yeah, turn the tables and she'd get beat down. Indeed. It's super cool to hate white men. It really is. And it's like, you know, yeah, I don't know. This whole idea of white privilege is hilarious, because it's like, it's actually the opposite in many cases. The worst are the white men who, like, yes, I have white privilege, and they bend the knee, and they're like, you know, pathetic, really pathetic, really pathetic people, really bad. Danny says, I like it when broads wear t-shirts like that. It makes it so easy to vet them out of a mere glance. Yeah, I don't know if I like it, but yeah, they're definitely, you definitely best avoid them. honestly, if I saw a bitch like this in Tokyo, if I saw someone like this in Tokyo wearing a t-shirt like this, I'd probably say something. I'd probably at least say fuck you. Probably say something like that. I'd have to. Probably be worse. Probably say something worse, actually, more aggressively. But Matt W says, imagine the word confidence was switched out with food stamps and white man with black man. Yeah, the person wearing that t-shirt would be on the FBI most wanted list. Indeed. Yeah. President Biden says it really is fucked up. Crimson Eclipse says they tell on themselves all the time. Thank God for social media. I mean, the evidence. I mean, even it's one of the interest that's one of the things about Fresh and Fit podcast. You know, it's exposing in a big way. It's exposing these women. It's exposing the culture. It's just giving us a real, because they're just telling on themselves constantly, this incessantly telling on themselves. But yeah, let me share another video. Yeah, so we just have all this shit. I don't know if I can share it. It's not, this video may be inappropriate for some users. And it appears I can't share it for some reason. Let me try that again. I don't know why it's not letting me share it. Okay, let me see if it works now. Right.
It means gender violence. It means gender.
هو يوم المرأة العالمي، وأحب أوجه رسالة لجميع نساء الأرض بأنه إحنا القوة، إحنا الشجاعة، إحنا نص المجتمع، وإحنا الجزء المكون الآخر إليه، وإحنا ما نقل نهائياً بأي شكل من الأشكال عن الرجل.
जमातें हमारे साथ शामिल हैं।
Thousands of refugees have been left stranded at the border. Imagine like thousands of Chinese people just got in a boat and started demanding to be let into Japan. It's just, why, like, it's just, why have Western countries become so soft? Like, what? When people just turn up your border and start demanding to be let in, it's like, what the fuck? It just, when you come to like Asian countries, they're so based regarding their their immigration policies. I mean, all Asian countries, China, Thailand, Japan, they all, just completely like just unimaginable to think that refugees can just show up and just like demand to be allowed in. But as you can see from the video, the womanism virus is that's the real virus spreading across the world. But honestly, I mean, at least for the women in maybe stricter where they might actually have a lot less freedoms, like in Islamic countries, they're actually fighting something that is there will be consequences for them. At least you can agree or disagree with them rebelling against it, but at least you could say they have some courage to do that. But in Western society, there's no, like, they can protest, they can do anything they want. There's no consequences, and they just keep getting worse and worse. Ari says, I still think Asia will become like the West eventually. I don't know. It's hard to imagine. Especially it's hard to imagine that happening in somewhere like Japan, because it's so organized. It's so neat, so clean. Anywhere where you see like feminism coming along, things start to get dangerous. Things start to get out of line, dirtier. Who knows, man? I don't know. Anything's possible, but I don't think it's gonna happen for a while. I don't know. But I think Japan. I think China is definitely not going down and going to be tolerated in China. China really, they're really laughing. They're really like, what's really happening, in my opinion. Go down the conspiratorial rabbit hole here, but if I was to, a hot take, I would say that everything we're seeing is, it's all it's basically all a psyop, because if you think about it, two huge superpowers, the USA and China, they can never ever they can't actually have a traditional war. So if they have to fight a different kind of war, they can't have a war. It can't happen. They have nuclear weapons. Like America can't beat China in a traditional war. It can't happen, and China can't beat America in a traditional war. So think about, they have to approach things differently, and they probably have huge military departments devoted just to psychological warfare, where there's probably billions of dollars invested into placing money and spreading certain propaganda. Invest in this, invest in that, spread this propaganda here, invest in this, to fuck the society up, make the society weaker. That's honestly, that's my kind of opinion of what happened with the whole beer bug. It's like a complete propaganda, just a psyop, and I'm not even saying that the beer bug doesn't exist. Like, there's viruses, there has always been viruses, and that's why it's the perfect scam, because it does exist to some extent, but it's so that they can say there's this thing, but to shut down societies and to cut, it was completely unnecessary. Just wasn't necessary. Know Your Worth says 8:30. We'll meet MLD later tomorrow. Good stuff, man. Cool. Eri says, look at the tattoos. They don't have the same type of negative stigma as it did in Japan 20, 30 years ago. The same with feminism. It won't have the same negative stigma later on. Yeah, there still is a stigma with tattoos, though. I mean, you can't. You actually you'll get kicked out of hot springs, or they won't allow you in. A friend of mine came over just about 2 years ago, and I took him to. He came with his girlfriend, and we tried to go to we went to a hot spring. So there's the women's section and the men's section. So I went to the men's section with my friend, and we were in there for a while. And we don't have tattoos, so it was no problem. But when we came out, apparently his girlfriend got immediately kicked out, even though she's a foreigner. She had tattoos, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, excuse me, you have to leave." Like, and they kicked her out. So, you know, they still have the stigma here with the old tattoos. That's for sure. Yeah, but Danny says you got to check out Dr. Aruna Kilanani on Google. She said in a lecture at Yale University that she fantasizes about killing white people in a lecture to students. God damn, I mean, you know, I believe in freedom of speech, but yeah, that's incitement to violence. I mean, bring it on, bitch. Like, let's go. Let's fucking go, toe to toe. Me, you, bitch. Let's fucking go. You know, fight to the death. Let's have it. Let's go, motherfucker. You know, bare knuckle. We go to the death. We'll see. You can try and kill me. Colin in the house says, yes, Mac, you're right. It's to make the society weaker. All propaganda is for the purpose of disempowering us. 100%. Yeah, it's just you got to be aware of it. You got to be aware of the propaganda so you don't get fooled by it. A lot of, you know, I have friends that are like back in Ireland, or, you know, I try and warn them about the beer bug and all that, and they're like, oh yeah, but what's the point? You're not going to change it. Yeah, you might not, you know, you might not change it, but it's important to know these things so that you don't get caught up in it and believe the lies, believe the nonsense, you know. You know, I had a friend of mine who's he was still, you know, believing that the bear bug was a danger. Hadn't been in contact with him a lot over the last while, but I thought he always seemed to me like the type of person that would be based and not really fall for that shit. But I was kind of shocked to believe that someone that I thought was pretty based was believing it. And it was like, because he was like, what do you mean? He was asking me, came up in conversation, and he was like, oh, what, you think it's not real? What are you talking? Of course it's real. And I was like, oh man. And then just, yeah, it's kind of shocking. Kind of shocking. Really, in these corners of the internet, we really are a small percentage. Really are. There's really not many people that are, you know, have taken the old red pills. Matt W says, if she wishes to do that to whites in the USA, she better learn how to shoot a gun first. Yeah. I mean, bring it on, motherfuckers. Like, you know, let's go. You know, I'm the type of person. I'm not an aggressive person. I'm very, I'm, you know, I don't look for trouble. But you know, it's and I'm not going to be the person to make, you know, throw the first punch, but, or, you know, make the first move. But if someone does make an aggressive move on me or tries to attack me, and I get the better hand of them, they're going to be real sorry, because I'm not going to show much mercy, you know, because I know myself that I wasn't the one to start it, and I wouldn't ever, you know, I'm never going to be the one to, like, you know, start attack someone. So if someone does attack me, it's like, okay, well, now you're gonna pay the price. Especially if I get the upper hand, I'm gonna finish it. Yeah, because it's the way. Don't start it, but be prepared to finish it. And people deserve. There has to be consequences for your actions. People need to learn that there are consequences for your actions. But yeah, today was a bit different from the usual topics of day game, picking up hotties. But yeah, I'm just gonna do some go to the gym now. It's Friday, so gotta do some exercise. But yeah, if you guys are interested in picking up or learning cold approach, consider joining the premium content. I've recently started to get some a lot of I'm starting to record some cold approaches so that guys can hear. It's a lot of hassle to get recordings like videos, so I'm just getting basically I roll up the earpods, and you can obviously record. I just have one in the ear, and I record the cold approaches. So I'm sharing those with guys in the premium content, and it gives guys an idea of how I do cold approach and of the way it is. Yeah, so if you're interested in hearing things like that, sign up to the premium content on my website. Check out the links in the description. As usual, like, comment, subscribe. I'll be back Monday night, 9 p.m. Central Time. So have a good weekend, guys. Peace out. Bye-bye.